The second agenda item is public participation. Is there anyone who wishes to speak?
Yes, I would. I was at the last meeting and I was referring to document TOD 202.
Can I interrupt you, please?
Sure.
I know that
I'm sorry, Sean Ruas, 53 Lancaster Road. I don't know why it slipped my mind. TOD 202 is put together by Smart Growth America, which is a nonprofit, which is federally funded. The publication is through the Federal Transit Administration and the Department of Transportation. And I gave this to some members of the City Council, but you asked for it specifically, so I wanted to hand it to you. I gave a copy to Justin. In there, actually on the checklist, I just was looking at it again today, and it says, they suggest, as best practices outfit, that we organize a citizen advisory committee. I was wondering if we did any of that. And before you answer that, I'm wondering about some of these other things on the task list from the meeting. I think it was 2 months ago that I got. It says in here that we would review the 2014 Renaissance survey, which is completed. I was wondering if I could get any information on where that was going to be applicable to what we're doing now. And also, it says 4.3 land use and zoning for June 30th. I don't know if there was any changes to our land use, or if that's a reference to just an assessment that we're doing. But more importantly, continued public outreach is my pet peeve. So what I'm concerned about is it says there's going to be a workshop number 2 on 8/29. If I can get some information on that, so I can put it forth to the public, because I don't know. I know there was on Tuesday. I was unfortunately unable to make it to the meeting. Well, it wasn't a meeting per se, right? It's just kind of there was a booth set up at the West End Festival. So I'm wondering, is there going to be a city meeting like there was, previously, with a presentation with some visuals on some different ideas, and allow the public to chime in on public record? That's my thing.
Through the chair, and then fill in. So the purpose of the previous, is going a path that had gone before, is there was a lot of data gathered, and that was through public hearings, that was through all kinds of focus groups. And so the intent of that was so that they weren't necessarily reinventing the wheel, that they could go back and look to see what had been said in the past. They can then also use that as a base to compare to the efforts that they're doing now. And so hopefully there's no big surprises. Hopefully data that was collected back then of what people would like to see in a walkable downtown and things like that would carry through, or all of a sudden has opinion really changed where people are saying, no, don't do this, don't do that. So it's really a baseline, and it also takes advantage that a lot of questions have been asked, and they can look at those answers and then spot any type of trends. Has anything changed? Have we gone in a different direction? Is there any kind of surprises?
That's essentially what we're talking about. We had Mr. Lodovico, who was a member of the BDDC, very active with the previous investigation and research, offer up anything that they had done, so that there's a basis, some history about what was done, what was accomplished, what was garnered in forms of tangible information. That's part of it. What we could do, Mr. Roost, is we're going to have a presentation from our consultants, so we can ask them some of those questions I've written down that you asked. Okay, so we can follow up tonight with some of that information.
That would be good, because my concern is, and of course, as I learned in the past week, you can't believe everything that you read in the paper, but I did read in the paper that it seemed like public opinion had changed overnight, is the way that the Bristol Press had reported something that happened in 2015, just where people that were not necessarily in favor of the project as handled through the BDDC, if I could say it that way, or through Renaissance or whatever context. I don't want to muddy the issue about the context, but my thing is, I don't think that the public really even knows that this is a TOD project at all. And there's much reason to believe that the public has actually been misled to believe that it's not. And I could prove that, but like I said, I don't want to do that kind of thing. What I want to do is I want to make sure that the public knows what they're getting into, what we're doing in the downtown, what we are and what we are not going to do, and then allow the public to weigh in on public record. And I'm not sure that that's happening. It seems to me like the public found out what was going on. They wanted to put it on the ballot because they were against it, and then that issue got pushed aside, and now I feel that the public participation is kind of getting put onto the back burner and not put forth in such a manner as best practices recommends. And I'm not saying there's not any effort being made, because I know there is, and I could cite the examples, but there's got to be some happy medium in between it's not just me that feels that way. If it was just me, I wouldn't come here and say this. But this is how I feel the public opinion is about it at this point.
Well, you made a good point, an important point. It's on record, and I think you have to look at this, Sean. This is a restart, okay? I wouldn't say do-over, but a restart. In that it's still a bit too early in the process to go, I think, where you're going. I think the intent is to make sure that there is public participation, it's open, and it's collaborative. So let's give it a little time, and we can ask our consultants to address that as well.
I mean, I'm concerned because we have these dates here, and it seems like we're moving forward, and the people that are in the loop and the stakeholders of the project are moving forward faster than the public is even being kept up to speed or informed about what's going on as far as anybody's concerned. The hospital is building over there, and TOD isn't happening. And I think that the truth is quite contrary to that.
There's not a lot of public information yet. There's a lot of stuff we haven't seen. We're part of the negotiating team. So, I'm not trying to blow you off, but
I know. I'm you know how persistent I am. I'll wait. I'll wait.
We want to be respectful of that too. But
through the chair, what you do is important, because we're trying to go again through all avenues. And so, whether it's the survey that people can take online, or the fact that you record these meetings that people can't get to maybe, and you put it, I think we all have the same goal here. I think that we do want transparency, and I think we do want to involve public opinion, and then at the end of the day, using all that information to make the best decision we can for the city that I think we all love, right? I mean, we're all here because we care about Bristol.
We all want to be on the same page.
Right, and we all. So I think your efforts combined with the efforts that are going on, again, it's all avenues. Will we miss some things? Yeah, we might, because maybe there's people that work overnight. Should we do something maybe at 2 a.m? So there's a lot of things that, can be explored, but to the chairman's point is, let's get the ground running. I think you're here to help, keep us honest as far as, whether it's the press but again, there is the outreach is there, and I think it's going to continue.
that's the goal.
Okay, it's my goal too. So, like I said, I think we're on the same page. I just want to make sure that everybody knows what's happening. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
Yes, I would.
Would you please state your name? And
My name is
address for the
Cheryl
record?
Barb. I'm 52 Belladine Gardens Drive, and I'm encouraged to come and speak tonight by my director.
Great.
Okay. I was very much, I think, helpful in public speaking, excuse me. My understanding is that the Memorial Boulevard School project, which is going to be a great economic generator with a 500-seat theater, was not even on the agenda of this city when we began doing these development projects with Renaissance and with whatever you're doing now. There was a promise that to the community that we would have pedestrian-friendly streetscapes and city plans that I have read over the years. They talked about rebuilding the street, the Main Street corridor. And I happened to I was encouraged to go to that event that they had at the park recently, and I was quite surprised to see that, and very upset that the parcel adjacent to, the most adjacent to Memorial Boulevard School had been taken by the hospital with no review in terms of overall city planning, with no review as to best place to place the hospital's interest, and that had already been under contract. So when I looked at those, let me finish, don't interrupt, please. It's hard enough to speak.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So here's the thing. I have gone for a number of years to many of these planning meetings and stuff that you talk about, and pretty much know what pedestrian friendly is because I do walk around town. And I do not see how those two developments are connected, and then from my point of view, in terms of streetscape and walking and for everybody in the community, I don't see how Memorial Boulevard School with this not school, but Arts and Culture Center, which could be developed into a big thing, not just for the theater, but for the rest of the parts, or the rest of the building in time, how that communicates with what you're intending to do on that other section of the parcel, that bubble, how people get, how they make that connection, physically, psychologically, or whatever, for maximum economic development. I can refer very simply to Jane Jacobs, who wrote the city planning Bible that everyone in the New Renaissance people follow, and they require 4 things. Small blocks, we have super blocks. Okay, you do that in your development, fine. They say old buildings. Well, the only old buildings you have left down there is what is facing Main Street, which is a National Register district. Adjacent to that is the South End National Register district, and you're going to have a building, hopefully on the National Register, now on the State Register, which is Memorial Boulevard Schools. So those components are in place. What did I do, 2 or 3 small blocks? But what she's saying, for maximum impact, for maximum economic development, this is what people miss, the ability for people to walk and cross paths. So however you strategically locate your key things, people need to communicate within that. One of the things I noticed when I happened to go to Memorial Boulevard School, rock and roll concerts and all that, was people having a really good time. I had a really good time. Best time I ever had in this town, to tell you the truth, and my husband will say that too. But as we walked out of that thing, and we were really happy, well, I got to tell you, in a 5 o'clock concert, I'm not going home and cooking for my husband. I want to go out to eat, okay? I'm that demographic, the boomer demographic, that is now retired, and we figure, hey, we're going to party, we're going to go out, we're going to spend our money, okay? But guess what? Okay, there's something happens. You have to get me to want to stay in town to do something interesting in my demographic. It's not the young people that have the money, it's the older people, the older women, and you all saw them at those concerts. They were the first up to get up and rock and roll, right?
I was there.
You were there, okay? That demographic, that boomer demographic, is what's going to fuel that parcel that you're doing. They're going to spend their money if you have goods and services, and you got to get them there. To cordon that off, to wall that off, okay, with a huge building, 4 stories, women are not going to walk behind there and bop into there. And if you sit and walk on that parcel, older people in the hot sun in the afternoon in the summer are not going to make that walk down and around, and women will not duck behind that building. Nor are they very happy to maybe park a car in a parking garage unless you make it really, really safe. So where you locate your parking garage behind those buildings is not something I want to go for, okay? I had suggested to the development director the optimal place for that parking garage, if you're ever going to put one down there and you're spending public money, should be between Restaurant Row, or whatever you're doing on Main Street, which I think should be developed into a restaurant row or a town green with things around it, so that as you drive into town, you have the visual sight line up. I'm at the end of the boulevard. I can park my car there, and guess what? I can look up the hill, and I have all these restaurants, all these shops to go and visit and walk in. What you want to do, but you're not doing that. You stuck a big medical arts building there. Secondly, I want to say, okay, I'm a science person. I love medicine. I love all that stuff. The hospital should not take this personally that I'm attacking them in any way. That I have asked the development director, I have asked the city planners, anybody involved with this, to give me an example, just give me an example of somewhere, anywhere in the United States, where you have a beat down old town like Bristol that's gone through hard times, and their key component, their key first building that they're going to build as an economic generator is a medical arts building. Because if medical arts were, an economic generator, those huge buildings they have in Farmington, 4 stories high, where I carry and bring the ladies of town who have to have someone go with them, that should be the biggest booming place in the world, and it isn't. They drive in and they drive out. I've worked in medical centers. You go there, you do your work, you come, you go, and you drive in and you drive out. If this building that you intend to be medical arts inspecting to come into the community, it can't be like that space that we developed. What was that corporation that came in? It was an insurance company. That thing is Cigna. Okay, thank you very much. It's hard speaking to remember it at the same time. Cigna. That was going to be a great boom because all these people were going to be here working and down in town walking around. But what did Cigna do? They put in a cafeteria there. You never saw those people come out of that building and walk around. What's to say, even if you had that medical center there with those people working all day, that they're going to want to stay and do that if there is these services associated within that building in context? Do you understand what I'm trying to say about connections? About connecting one space to another space so you get a synergy of economic activity. I do not see that happening there. If you intend to build a medical center, be honest about it and say, we can't do this economic stuff, we're really building a medical center. You're already getting a collection of medical things happening downtown. If that's your intention to do that, fine. But don't sell this as economic development and pedestrian friendly for the community, because in reality, if women and people who can't go to the culture center can't walk downtown to a restaurant in an easy, fast way, conventional way, it's not pedestrian friendly. And I think I covered, I don't know if I covered everything, but I think the second thing is, I had wished that I had seen one example of that you hired that consultant that you had go through the process of saying, well, I might have been contracted to do this on this parcel, but actually took his expertise and said, what would you do if you didn't have that parcel already cordoned off and contracted out? So I feel that the people of Federal Hill who have been living there in a neighborhood that adjacent to the hospital and has seen housing disappear and disappear and disappear because they have to look across the street at parking lots everywhere, they will be skeptical because I have seen neighborhoods degrade over that for another parking lot. This is not about the community good that the hospitals does for patient services. Please don't get me wrong. It's what works for the hospital for what they're doing. Fine, but it has to work for the whole town, every citizen here, to use that parcel. They've been derived that for years, and your town is dying. You have to keep young people here. And that the Memorial Culture Center will give young people a reason to want to stay in town because they can go on a date. They have someplace to go. You will have a place where people can go and party. And there's not too many places in town like that you can do that. That's your selling point, and you seem to be missing the boat for me. So please, if there is a place where a medical arts center causes great economic development to happen, please put that on the table and show me, because I just don't see it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your comment, you brought up a myriad of detail.
And thank you for letting me talk more than like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Well, listen, what you say is important, and.
Oh, and I'm not finished. One more thing. I'm sorry, I am not finished.
Now we gotta shut you off quick, because we got things we gotta do.
No, one more thing. It came to me last night, okay, that the process of planning is, you put pictures on the wall, you do this and that, and it's all theoretical. Okay, it's all based on theory of this and theory of that. You don't know whether you're looking at new urbanism or old urbanism or whatever. What you lack is an experimentation. You experiment with people's money to do these projects, and then they fail, or they don't, or this or that. So I say, let's reverse the trend. You want to do an experiment about the best place to put these shops, the best place to put the garage. Do the experiment. Take people, and you want pedestrian friendly? Get a group of them in the community who are interested in their community, that love the town, and say, okay, we'll do the experiment. Here's a card. Meet today at Memorial Boulevard School. This group here, it's a sunny day for you. You can walk around all you want. This group over here, it's hot. It's miserable. Okay, you have to walk. Walk the space. Say, what would be comfortable for you to put the parking garage? What would be safe for women? Put your car down on that spot. And you over here, who want to go to a restaurant or whatever, how far would you walk to get to that restaurant, given the topography, given the street, given this? What do you want to see on the street? I don't see this being done. What I see being done is a bunch of pretty pictures on the internet that bear no relationship to the reality of the space that you're in. And that's not how research scientists works. And to present this as a science, some theoretical thing or whatever, it just doesn't wash for me. And your data doesn't wash. All that data you have of this in the back and this and that and this and that does not work for real people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Unless you test the real people.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Okay. Item number 3, to accept the minutes of the regular meeting held June 23rd, 2016.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Communications, Mr. Mello.
Well, you know what, I included the press release that went out a couple of weeks ago for the Rockwell Park event, just for the file, so I guess a motion to file.
Motion to file.
Is there any motions in second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Sorry.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. New business.
I think first up to bat is Milone and MacBroom. We obviously want to get an update on how our first public outreach session went on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And then maybe we talk about the survey, the website, anything else you'd like to add?
Sure.
Patrick's the man.
Okay.
All right. So, like Justin said, we had a very successful night. We piggybacked on the concert in Rockwell Park, and DPW's head count, or Parks head count, was about 700 people came to the concert, and many of them stopped by our booth on their way to or from. And so we were really, trying to do 2 different things. We were trying to just get the word out there that, this project is going on, and there were, lots of people who we would hand a card to, saying we're working on the Center Square project, and they would say, oh, this is the first time I'm ever hearing about it. So I feel like we were very successful at, getting the word out to the general public, to kind of talk about some of Sean's concerns. There's always trade-offs with different approaches, and we've done kind of the traditional, you host a workshop and the community comes, and, those provide a good forum for, comments on the record and more direct feedback, but a lot of times you get limited participation. Maybe you'll only have a couple dozen people show up. And so we figured this early in the process, it's really important to just get the word out, get people excited about the project, get people engaged, point them to the website, point them to other information, and hopefully, as we progress further along in the study, I think, a more formal workshop, thing like that would be a lot more appropriate, and hopefully by then we'll have gotten the word out enough that, we'll have a much bigger turnout than if we were to just hold it in the beginning now. We had a couple exercises to kind of get people in participating in the project. One of them is in front of you, and these are just kind of simple, very conceptual bubble charts. Really just showing, do you like
concepts where there's a lot of green space? Do you like concepts with bigger building lots, with smaller building lots? And so we just kind of asked people to put their stickers on their favorite. And we also had a visual preference board showing some options for what buildings and public spaces and green spaces and streets can look like, and asked them to select their favorite. And those kind of meshed well with the survey. Our survey launched, I think it was last Friday, and in less than a week, we're already up to about 240 responses. So we've had a very good turnout, and hopefully, you know, as we keep doing events, we'll keep getting, you know, groups of people taking it, and you know, we're really optimistic with our numbers so far.
That's
Through the chair. Are you, as far as getting the word out about the surveys, how are you doing that? I mean,
Sure.
These cards are a great idea.
So yeah, the cards helped a lot. We probably handed out about 250. The Bristol Press also ran our link, and so I think a lot of people have been clicking on the link on the Bristol Press article, not taking it. Also, if there's been any internal communication in terms of like town employees or the chamber, where the direct link was sent out, you know, those are always the most effective, is when you have a link and someone can click on it in an email and they're right there.
I would also recommend the Observer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new internet radio beat.
Okay.
Anywhere you can put these cards with a little.
Where is that link? The Observer?
The Observer is another newspaper.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
And then wherever you can put these cards, that would be great.
We have another 250, so they're just sitting in my office. So,
Yeah.
and if anyone wants to see the conceptual plans there on the Center Square website, actually, if anyone wants a card, I got some extras.
Can they see the draft chart?
Sure.
also?
Nice.
Pat, I mentioned the next event.
Sure. We also,
29th.
it's August 20th, so the Rockwell Park Summer Festival. We'll have a booth, and you know, we're going to try to keep it informal, similar to the last one. You know, really, we're still kind of in the visioning process, and so really, we just want to, you know, get the word out, share information as we get it, but also try to cast as wide as we can and meet with as many people as we can.
I think people tend to like this sort of informal approach. It's not intimidating. Sometimes we're going to do the workshop thing, but this isn't intimidating. You don't have to get up in front of a group. You just approach. There's graphics. I think folks felt pretty at ease on Tuesday, and we got the response we were looking for. So, and then 250 survey responses already. That's more than, you know, even I thought that we'd have at this point. It's been a week. A week or two, maybe.
Yeah, I think a week, yeah.
So, so we should be happy with that. The number.
Any plans, and then we might have talked about it last time, you can just show up at a Bristol Blues game.
I think we'll have to.
Where there's
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to kind of work with Justin and Kristen to kind of decide, you know, our scope. I think has a limited number of meetings, but depending on, you know, how things go, you know, we're always flexible in terms of, you know, if in terms of moving items around it, if public outreach is going to be a more important part of the project than some other aspects, you know, we'd be happy to kind of look into it and maybe give you some options.
The website is key. Can you talk about the Center Square website and,
Sure.
and the ability to communicate through that?
Mhm. Sure. So, so we have the website and put the cards and all of the Bristol Press articles and other press. We've done a pretty good job. I think we're at about 1,300 page views already. And this is just kind of a central repository of everything study related. That way, people aren't having to go to different websites. So we have our exercises from the workshop up. We have the survey up. We have just some general information about the project up. So really, kind of a one-stop shop for anyone who's interested.
Any plans to?
We'll get Tom back to talk a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of the planning piece.
We've
Is
done a
that
whole
fair?
bunch of the physical stuff, but Tom wanted to be here. And
Yep, makes
we'll
sense.
follow up at the next meeting with that.
Mhm.
Much more comprehensive part of the utility and roadway and transit and so on.
More to come.
Anything else? Again, speaker?
We're good.
No,
We're good.
I'm very sorry that Ms. Barb left, because it's important for everyone to know that this is a very critical part of the development, and when we're gathering information, looking at some of the things we've done in the past, and it's important for people to keep an open mind, I think, as we proceed. All the opinions that we get, I think, have value. Some of the things that Mr. Rusu brought up, some of the things that Ms. Barb brought up are valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But we I'm afraid that we didn't get the point across that, we are considering all those other issues, the connectivity and walkability
Yeah,
and things.
I mean, just so you know, I was someone who encouraged Aspire to come because she does have good thoughts and she visits with me and this is the forum to do it, right? Through
Absolutely.
the event, she came to the event on Tuesday. She's here now, so
It'd be great to
that's
have
the idea.
more people like her.
I mean, admire the passion, she obviously
Absolutely.
cares.
Absolutely.
And it's good to, again, you weigh all the opinions you gather, and then you build a business case too, because there may be some things that, I know there's things that I would love to see there, but we're not gonna get the investment for that kind of, some of that thing, so I think right now it's really good to get, it's kind of like brainstorming, where you don't poo-poo anything, you just kind of bring it all together, and then you start, you add realism to it at some point.
But it's important that these people know that everything's under consideration.
I am really big, the more people that we can get opinions from.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, the last thing you want is when someone says, I didn't know anything about it.
See, I think it's
And
important,
like,
it's important that people are positive and people
Yeah.
buy in through their participation, because at some point in time, we're gonna sell this thing to the public. And that's another critical stage.
To that point, I mean, one of the things from a very basic perspective that like Kristen and I in the BDA we're looking for here is that we need to get a gauge on what's acceptable to the public, to the policymakers, to others. When we go out and sell, it's not fair for us to sell something, maybe to sell an opportunity to an entity that we know it may not work, right? It's not fair to them, not fair to us. We're not in the business of putting developers in front of policymakers that we know it's just a crazy idea, it's not going to work. So that's where we're coming from. We need to know what is going to at least be in the realm of sort of possibility and the public will be interested in before we go out and sell it.
Okay, anything else?
Through the chair, Justin, what you just said should be put in a framed picture somewhere, because that's what
My
it's going
face
to
be on it? Yeah.
Well, let's not do that.
At the post office?
That's the way it's going to work.
Good point, good point. Anything else on the issue? Okay, moving on. 5B, Tiffany, Bristol Hospital
Hey,
update.
good afternoon, everyone. Tiffany Fernandez from Bristol Hospital. I really enjoyed her comments because it's so important as well that they understand that the city and the hospital have been working really well in understanding the community needs. And the update I have to give you thus far is that the board subcommittee has finalized their shortlist. And without any advertisement whatsoever, we had recruited a numerous amount of developers interested, national, international, and local. So there is interest in Bristol, and we're very excited about it. So we are on track to onboard a developer for the fall, and we have a meeting next week with the city to make sure we incorporate the city planner's recommendations and you guys as well into our RFP so the developers are well aware of the needs and the constraints. And that's it.
Any questions for Tiffany?
See you next week, Tiffany.
Thank you. Any other topics to discuss about the hospital update? We good? Okay. Item number 6, old business. Commissioners?
No, it's moving along.
Justin? Item number 7, motion to adjourn.
So moving.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for your participation.
Thanks, Pat.